I'm Kelly, 32, sitting in my new office. The sunlight filters through the blinds, casting a warm glow on the leather portfolio that once symbolized my future at my family's company. It's a bittersweet reminder of the journey that led me here. Just a few months ago, I was in a meeting with my father, Richard, a 60-year-old man with a once iron will and a sharp business mind. His shoulders now seemed hunched, and his eyes were filled with a mix of regret and desperation. Kelly, we made a mistake. Johnson Marketing is struggling without you. Madison is stepping down as CEO, and we want to propose a strategic partnership, he said, his voice trembling slightly. I looked at him, the man who had been my mentor and yet had dealt me the most painful blow. Memories of that fateful dinner at the upscale steakhouse came flooding back. 3 weeks before a crucial pitch to Harper Industries, a tech giant I'd been cultivating for years, my parents, Richard and Linda, a 58-year-old woman with a penchant for elegance and a soft-spoken demeanor, had invited me and my younger sister, Madison, now 30, to a special dinner. As we sat at the table, the champagne in my glass seemed to mock me. My father cleared his throat and said, "We've decided that Madison will be the next CEO of Johnson Marketing. Kelly, we'd like you to be the chief strategy officer under her." I felt as if the ground had shifted beneath me. I stared at them in disbelief, my mind racing to understand how this could happen. Growing up in Chicago, our lives revolved around Johnson Marketing, which my parents had built from the ground up. I was the serious one, always poring over business magazines as a child, while Madison was more free-spirited, with a passion for art and fashion. I interned at the company every summer during high school, organizing filing systems and sitting in on client meetings. Meanwhile, Madison went to art camps and worked in trendy boutiques. I chose Northwestern University for its top-notch marketing program and graduated with honors. Then I got my MBA at Columbia, specializing in digital marketing. During those years, I interned at major firms in New York, building connections that could benefit our family business. Madison, on the other hand, switched from fashion design to business administration in her sophomore year at the University of Illinois and graduated with an average record. When I returned to Chicago after my MBA, I joined the family business as a marketing strategist. I worked tirelessly for 2 years, implementing digital analytics and bringing in 3 major accounts that increased our annual revenue by 32%. Madison joined the company a year later in a client relations role. To everyone's surprise, she took to the business world with enthusiasm, using her charisma in client meetings. Over time, I developed innovative strategies that brought our company into the digital age. I created a proprietary analytics dashboard that gave clients real-time insights into their campaign performance. One of my proudest achievements was the Riverstone Hotels campaign, which increased their bookings by 47% in 6 months and secured a 3-year contract worth $500,000 annually. But despite my successes, my parents started giving Madison more high-profile client pitches. When I questioned this, my father said, "Madison has a way with people. Clients respond to her energy." I pointed out my higher conversion rate, but he dismissed it, saying, "Numbers aren't everything, Kelly." My biggest project was cultivating a relationship with Harper Industries. Over 2 years, I took their CMO, Rachel, a 45-year-old woman with a sharp intellect and a no-nonsense attitude, to lunch regularly, sent their team industry insights, and provided free consultations. Rachel had confided that Harper was planning to consolidate all their marketing with a single agency, a contract worth at least $1 million annually for 3 years. When I presented my detailed pitch plan to my parents, my father said, "Let Madison take a look at this and give her input before the final pitch." I was irritated but agreed. However, it soon became clear that they wanted Madison to lead the pitch, with me providing the strategic details. When I objected, my father said, "You're too emotionally invested in this account. Madison can present more objectively." I was devastated. I had sacrificed my personal life for the company. My last relationship ended because my boyfriend, Jake, said he felt like he was dating the company through me. I had also been developing a comprehensive expansion strategy for Johnson Marketing, planning to open an office in Denver. But my parents were non-committal, saying, let's secure Harper Industries first. After the dinner where they announced Madison as the CEO, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, trying to understand their decision. The next day, I had a meeting with my parents. I asked, what factors led to choosing Madison over me? My father said, leadership is about more than just strategy and numbers. Madison has a natural ability to inspire people and build consensus. My mother added, you can be intense, Kelly. You focus so much on results that you sometimes overlook the human element. I was furious. I had sacrificed everything for the company, and now they were holding my dedication against me. I left the meeting with a clear decision in mind. The next day, I requested another meeting with my parents. I asked, when did you first decide Madison would be CEO instead of me? The uncomfortable silence that followed spoke volumes. I stated flatly, this was predetermined, regardless of my accomplishments. My mother interjected, we've always valued your contributions, but Madison has a certain presence that suits leadership. I countered, can you point to any instance where my directness has cost us a client? They couldn't. Finally, I placed a folder on the table and said, this is my resignation, effective immediately. My father stammered, the Harper pitch is in 2 weeks. The company needs you. I replied coolly, Madison's leadership qualities should be sufficient to close the deal. As I cleaned out my office, my assistant, Jessica, a 28-year-old with a bright smile and a kind heart, helped me pack. She fought back tears and asked, what will you do now? I said, I'm not sure, but I won't pour myself into a place that doesn't value me. I moved to Denver, starting over in a modest one-bedroom apartment in the Rhino district. The first month was tough. I would wake up reaching for my work phone, only to remember that I no longer had a company to run. Financially, I had enough savings to last 6 months, but watching my bank balance decrease was nerve-wracking. By the second month, I started reaching out to my professional network as an independent consultant. A former client, Patricia, a 50-year-old executive at a large company, offered me contract work. I transformed her marketing department over 6 weeks, and she was amazed, saying, you've accomplished more as one person than the agency we fired did with an entire team. Word spread, and soon I was turning down projects and carefully selecting clients. I leased a small office in a co-working space and named my new business Summit Marketing Solutions. Jessica called me during my 5th month in Denver and said, things are different since you left. Madison is trying, but she doesn't have your strategic vision. She also asked if I was hiring, and I offered her a position. 6 months later, Summit Marketing had 8 regular clients and a growing reputation for data-driven strategies. An industry publication ran a feature on our elevation marketing approach, which brought a flood of inquiries, including one from Westfield Corporation, a national commercial real estate developer. The initial contract would be $2 million over 3 years. Meanwhile, I received updates about Johnson Marketing. They were struggling, especially after losing the Harper Industries contract. 7 months after my departure, my father visited my office. He looked older and more tired. He said, Harper Industries terminated their contract after 3 months. The execution didn't match your strategy. We lost not only Harper, but also 3 other clients. He then proposed a strategic partnership between our companies. I was skeptical. I said, a partnership requires mutual respect and trust, which were lacking before. He admitted, we've learned a painful lesson about your value. The company has lost 27% of its revenue since your departure. Madison is considering stepping down as CEO. I was surprised, but also felt a mix of vindication and concern. I told him I'd consider it and asked him to send me a formal proposal. As he left, he said, your mother misses you. We both do. Business aside, you're our daughter. A few weeks later, Madison called and said, I'm stepping down as CEO. I never wanted the position in the first place. I thought we'd lead together. This revelation stunned me. She continued, I enjoy client relationships and creative direction. The strategic side is your strength. I sat with this new information, realizing that she had been as much a pawn in our parents' flawed succession plan as I had been. I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop. She apologized sincerely, saying, "I accepted a position that should have been yours. I'm sorry for going along with it." We also talked about the possibility of a broader conversation regarding the future of both companies. She mentioned that my father was considering selling Johnson Marketing. I told her I was open to the conversation, but that any arrangement needed to acknowledge Summit's independence. Later, I attended a dinner with my parents and Madison in Denver. My mother reached for my hand as dessert was served and said, "We are so proud of what you've built, Kelly, and so sorry for our role in making you leave." My father added, "We failed you as parents and business mentors. Your success with Summit is exceptional." These conversations marked a new chapter in our family dynamics. Summit Marketing continued to grow, and we expanded to a full floor in our office building. We signed a contract with Altera Group, a major competitor to Harper Industries, which was worth $2 million annually. After much consideration, we decided on a limited merger between Summit Marketing and Johnson Marketing. I would be the CEO of the combined entity, Summit Johnson Marketing, and Madison would be the chief client officer. The negotiations were detailed, but we reached an agreement that maintained Summit's Denver headquarters and kept Johnson's Chicago office as a satellite location. As I sat in my office, finalizing the details of the merger agreement, Jessica brought me tea and asked, "Are you sure about this?" I replied, "It's not rejoining. It's creating something new on my terms. I've learned that true value comes from knowing my own capabilities and having the courage to honor them." Looking back on this tumultuous journey, I realized that walking away from the family business was the hardest decision I've ever made, but it was also the one that led me to discover my true worth. The $1 million deal they lost without me became the catalyst for a transformation that ultimately